So coming on now, we have Marissa Mazziotti, who today, so we'll look in a year and these will be Child's Play numbers. But so far today, she just led her team to $572,000 issue paid. She has 2 vice presidents and 1 senior sales manager, and she's growing like crazy. So Marissa, I know you travel a lot. I know you recruit 24/7, 365. But what I also know is a lot of people don't know you. So I would love it if you would just maybe spend a few minutes and kind of just let people get to know who you are.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, first thing, again, thank you for having me on. I'm honored to be a part of FFL America. Wouldn't be where I am at all without you as a mentor and, so many leaders at FFL America. So thanks for having me on. I have been here officially a year, I think like last week. So I think about 1 year ago today, I was actually doing my very first travel trip, and now fast forward a year, kind of doing the same thing. So I've been here about 1 year. Before this, I was doing transportation and logistics for people who get organ transplants, believe it or not. And I saw the opportunity actually on social media from, it's crazy the power of social media. We'll probably get into that later, but someone who knew me and also knew Ashley Gronberg sent me one of Ashley's posts and said, hey, I don't know what she's doing, but you should look into it. I looked at it, didn't do anything with it for a couple months, and then, just continually got to get dripped on everybody else. And then reached out to Ashley, asked what she was doing, and it was pretty much a wrap from there. Quit my job, went all in with FFL from the very first day, from my very first dial day. So that's pretty much the story.
To make you quit your job out the gate. Like, I mean, her close is we got to get Ashley to teach that closing technique. Okay, that's very cool. Well, seems like it was a great move because you're not only producing at a high level, but you have a knack for recruiting. And so I'd love if you'd kind of maybe talk about that first 3 to 6 months where you started producing and then you started deciding, hey, I at what point did you feel comfortable starting to recruit people?
Yeah, 100%. So, first and foremost, I should have started way earlier. I did what a lot of other people do at FFL. They come in and I was like, I don't really know what I'm doing yet, so I want to sell a lot. So I came out of the gate selling, traveling right away, invested in leads right away. I didn't have any sort of hold back about that. Was I nervous, uncomfortable? Yes, but I just went really straight into sales. And coming from a management point at my last job, I didn't want to recruit to begin with because I thought recruiting meant, managing and, you'd be in charge of all these other people. So I still hadn't wrapped my head around the fact that we're independent contractors and everyone's, here for their own success. So I was like, no way, I've managed people before. I want to just do my own thing. So I probably sold and didn't recruit, a single agent for probably 3 to 4 months, actually. And then kind of after that, I saw, teams exploding and saw the resources that I was able to be helped with here as far as, the training, the boot camp, all the events. And that's, I was probably 3-4 months in when I realized that you don't really necessarily have to know what you're doing, for lack of better terms, to get somebody else in the gate. And then, actually, we say a lot is that if you don't start recruiting from the beginning, it's kind of like selfish. Because the opportunity was already working so well for me in those first 3 to 4 months. If I could do one thing, if I could do over, I would go back and recruit. So those first 3 to 4 months just selling. And then once I realized that, this opportunity changed my life, I was overly excited to share it with everybody else. So, started on social media. I worked my warm market really hard, telling all my friends, which, probably not a lot, all my friends, all my family, everyone. And it was probably 4 or 5 months and I started to really kind of start to bring people on.
So you said quite a few things in there, which was awesome. But your direction, oftentimes what I fear is though people hear, well, do I have to recruit? And is this required? Is this one of those deals where in order to get a comp raise, I've got to go recruit 13 people a day and then get them to sign their sign-on bonuses and then go sell their uncle a policy? And the answer is no, that's not who we are here at all. You can go all the way to 130 just on selling. But you used a very, powerful word is I felt selfish, or felt by not sharing it early on. And that's one of the things that I think that many people who've achieved a level of success here, they start to go, I've just made $27,000 last month. I could tell a few people about this. Right. And I think that's where you start to see that. So for you, what was it like in those early times of recruiting? Like, I mean, and that word recruiting is like, it sounds so like intimidating to a new person. That's not what our goal is. Our goal is to help you start making money selling and then feel comfortable sharing this with other people. Like, how did you do that early on in the business?
Yeah, so I think I started, working my warm market and just telling people, what I was doing. And even then I wasn't really saying like, hey, you should join. And I think that, something in the beginning is you're very, for me is I was very sort of, and this has, been a big change for me even recently, is very sort of transactional about like, this is what we do. We get these leads, we get this, we get that. And then, I couldn't get that many people to really see what I was doing because it was all like too much verbiage about, what it is that we do here. And when I started to really like focus on the why and the opportunity and how, what did this really do for your family? Like I had $300 my first week, and I actually borrowed money from my little sister who was like 19 at the time, making no money, and had, so to really tell those stories and get with people about like, what is it that you're doing? Do you have kids? And this is something, and see if it's a fit for them, and see if they have sort of the knack and getting more down and deep with the people that you're recruiting. And even up until now, I've had to make a lot of shifts, but at the beginning it was more like hype. You know what I mean? Like you get so excited about what something has done for you that I was just all hype it up. This is what I'm doing. You should do it too. 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 It wasn't deeper of like, this is really like the impact that it's having on your life, the impact that it can change for you and your family. My sister now is full-time employed with me. Like talk about a full change of events. She pretty much paid for my first lead order. And now, one day, hopefully we'll be able to make her, an integrity staff member. So I think that was for me and you have the expectation that everyone you tell about it, that shows interest in it, that they're going to do it. Right. Because you're just hype. And it's all these, bells and whistles. And you talk about the deposits in your bank account and all this. And Grady, it was really when I started to get deeper with people about how can this opportunity really change your lives. And you look at, so many stories at FFL about, I was getting evicted, or I have 2 kids that I have to provide for. And, I'm working, 60, 70, 80 hours at my job right now, and I'm hardly making ends meet, and blah, 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 blah. And that's when it started to get more, bringing on quality people. And then I didn't feel weird about sharing an opportunity. I felt weird when I first started about like, people are going to get annoyed with my Instagram stories, and people are going to, and they probably were, because everything was hype, Grady. And then when you realize, it's more about the why and the impact you can have on people, and how many lives that, they don't even realize that they're waiting to be changed. You're not, you have the people that are on ZipRecruiter and Indeed and stuff and looking for jobs, but how many people are we interacting with every single day that, that we're talking to that really, are they don't even know they're looking for something like this. They don't even know something like this exists. I thought it was too good to be true. You thought it was too good to be true. So I think that's when it really flipped for me at like, and that was probably at the 6-8 month mark, that's still very new for me.
I still think it's too good to be true. Just so we're on the same page. Like I still don't know what I don't. Yeah. But I'm here, and I'm going to keep pushing forward, and I'm going to keep making it seem not too good to be true for as many people that want to work hard like we do. So I'd love if you talked about the beginning, more hype, then you turned to more. One of the things that I don't think we do enough is like the word tracks. So let's just, if we could role play this, or however you feel comfortable doing, if you want to just flow, pretend I'm a guy who has a small business or is, has ambition. And I just responded to a ZipRecruiter ad, and you're going to ask me a few questions, but then you're going to get to the point where you're going to kind of explain what FFL is. How do you explain FFL? Because I hear some people go, they say certain things, or I overhear conversations, and I'm like, I just wouldn't say that. And the people that say stuff that I wouldn't say, they're not really growing, and you are really growing. So I really want people to hear what you say, how you explain it, the posture, the control you have, because although we're always trying to build 2 muscles at FFL, right? One is the sales muscle and one's the recruiting muscle, or the business building muscle. And why do we want to talk about building a business? Because at some point it is pretty incredible to be able to teach and coach others, and to have a group of people that are doing really well financially that you had a very tiny part in, but then that little tiny part compensates you very, very well because you're a good introducer. Do you have to do it? No, you don't. we require it? Not at all. But if you ever want to, it's something you do need to learn. So I'd love it if you would talk about how I'm a ZipRecruiter ad, or I'm a Craigslist ad. I'm a someone that opted in. It just says, hey, I'd like to learn more about this. How do you explain it?
Yeah. So once I'm kind of to the point where I'm already on the phone, and this is where, back to what I just said, what has changed a lot is I used to get on the phone with someone and I would just be like, this is what we do. This is what it is. This is how it is. It's rainbows and puppy dogs for anyone. Anybody should do it, yada, yada, yada. And, more recently, and I've taken a lot from Jordan too, is getting to know them. So now once I'm on the phone with someone, my first probably 2-3 minutes, Grady, is, tell me about you. What are you currently doing for work right now? How much income are you kind of making right now? What about your family? Do you have kids? How many hours a week? I want to know if someone's only putting in 15 hours a week at their current job and they're not happy. And have you ever owned a business? Have you ever had to invest in a business? And I want to hear about them too. Why did you reach out? What about this is appealing?
You do that 2-3 minutes, not 20-30 minutes like I used to do when I first started. I want to know everything about them, because then I'm like, oh, I've got all this ammo to manipulate them to want to then go sign up for ExamFX. And the reality though, is you can do a lot of what you just said. If you're talking quick in control and they're just answering questions and you are gathering information quicker, there's a lot of respect that you can garner from a prospect when you're not just sitting there, let them tell a story for 15 minutes. And then you go, oh yeah. So yeah, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but that's such a powerful part is 2-3 minutes.
Yeah. So 2-3 minutes, what is it about you? Why are you interested in this? And I'm finding out all about them. And a lot of times I want them, to tell me about them. And when I get sort of towards the end of the call, so after that first 2-3 minutes, then I'm basically being really straight up about what FFL is, how, what it is that we do, and then also how it's changed my life. And at the beginning, before, when I first started, I was, like I said, just talking about all the positives. Now it's not like I'm trying to, steer anybody away on a recruiting call. I'm not trying to get them to not join, but I am more straight up and more honest about the fact that this is hard work. We see the deposits. So I say, you know what, this is what we do. Now we're all independent insurance agents. We go out, we protect families. I harp really hard on the impact that we're making on families. Okay. I say, everything's up to you, Grady. I always say this on every recruiting call. Give
us all the magic words. All I want is magic words. So you let it all out. I'm ready. I'm going to rewatch this and write it out. And then I'm going to, so give us it all. I would love to, we're all waiting here.
Every single recruiting call, I say, Grady, everything about this opportunity is up to you. Okay. So we have all the resources. We have all the training. We have all the events. We have hundreds of thousands of leads of family that are waiting to be protected. You have 100% access to me. You have 100% access to Ashley, Jordan, a ton of other VPs, a ton of other agency leaders. You are going to have everything you need to make 20, 30, 40, 50K a month. Now, Grady, I can't make you go get it. I can't make you go get it. So all of this stuff is here. So I say, now, are there people, does everyone here make it here? No, Grady, not everyone here makes it. And then I ask them again about, hey, would you say you're more of a clock in and clock out kind of person that you just, and that's totally okay. And I even will talk about, my sister, and she's my sister, so I can say it on here. I tell everyone, same thing, every single recruit, I say my sister and I are very different. My sister is an amazing person, love her to death, and we're built different, and that's okay. She wants to clock in and clock out. She doesn't want to own a business. She doesn't want to run a business. It's her personality type, and she loves it. Now I'm a go-getter. I want to see what I can get. I want to see what I can build. I want to see where I can grow. So then I say, Grady, would you say you're more of a clock in and clock out kind of person? Or are you a go-getter, just, go see what you can build, see how much more you can get, help other people, coach other people, and really make an impact. And then I just let them answer. Because then later, if they do decide to get started, Grady, then I don't have to feel the responsibility in the beginning where I felt like I wasn't straight up with people. So if they didn't do that good, it was my fault that they didn't do that good because I didn't tell them how hard of work it was. Now, every recruiting call, I want to know about them, and I want them to categorize themselves so that later it's like sales. You told me, Grady, that you were a go-getter, that you were going to have a positive attitude, and I say straight up, you know what, we talk about dialing the phones. We dial on Mondays and Thursdays. Grady, if you dial the phone all day long and 2 people pick up and you book 1 appointment and you dialed your butt off, are you going to give up and quit? Or are you going to be able to call me, take coaching, plug into the resources, get back on the training, and get back here on Thursday and do it again? And I ask him and I say, you're going to go in the field, you're going to have days you're 0 for 10, and you're going to go in the field, you're going to make 10 grand. And I ask them all those questions, what kind of person are you? And I feel like at the end of that call, most people are they're either in, or they're really thinking about the things I said. And I've had people say, you know what, Marissa, I appreciate you asking me that. To be honest, I'm more of a clock in, clock out type of person. And I'm like, cool, that's amazing. I'm happy to help you. I'm happy to, I have no issue getting you started if you want to start. I'm kind of like, if you want to, if you think, but I'm also like, I'm just not going to tell you that I think you're going to be 100% successful here. I think this is for, and I just go into it, and I'm just a lot more honest than I was up front. And then I tell them a little tiny bit, 30, 40 seconds about my story. Look, I was here. I was broke when I started. It changed my perspective on life, changed my income, but this is what I had to do to get there. So I also want to let them know that if they're in a place where they maybe don't have money, because most people don't come to FFL because they have millions of dollars. If they don't have money, if they're in a place where they're, working a part-time job, that it is still possible. So, hey, this is where I was when I first started, and this is where I got to. I've never been happier. I've never made more money. I've never felt more of an impact that I'm making on families. I've never felt more camaraderie with FFL. I say, I'd never change anything, every single thing about it. This is how it changed my life. I tell them about employing my sister. I tell them about my uncle. I tell them a lot about my uncle joining the business, and that's what family first really means to me, and him changing his life, coaching other people. And I tell a lot of other people's stories, but, because I want them to feel like I relate to them. I'm where you were at. I was broke too, but this is what I had to do to get there. This is all the hard work. And then usually by the end of the call, they're either in or they're out.
So how do you end it? Like, what is your, I don't want to use the word close, because this is an agent. We're trying to move forward and become a business partner, but what is your, you're like, okay, it feels like it's going good. I need to move. I got other calls coming up where I'm going to push to either see what they're going to do or not do right now. What are your final lines?
Yeah. So final lines, Grady, I'm pretty much just like, hey, is there anything else I can, I only have really another minute on the call. So I want them to know I'm busy. I'm in a time crunch. I really only have about another minute. Grady, do you have anything that you need to ask me right now that would either, help you get started, or maybe you decide that this isn't going to be a good fit for you? Most of the time they want to get started, and I say, great, I'm going to connect you with Victoria. She's going to send you over everything you need to do. Obviously, the first step is getting licensed, blah, blah, blah. And then I'm usually putting a time frame on that, Grady. So I'm saying, in the next 24 hours, is there any reason you couldn't get your exam booked? Or is there in the next 24 hours? Or I say, right when we get off this call, Grady, I need you to text me over your email, your phone number, your full name, so I have the spelling, and we're going to get some resources to get you plugged in and get this going. And then there's no lag. So I used to, even 3-4 months ago, Grady, I went and cleaned out my pipeline, and I'm like, these are people I just plugged in here because they thought they might be interested, and I talked to them for 1 minute, and yeah. So now I'm very like, is there any reason you wouldn't be able to schedule your test? And I want to see, that's kind of like the next test. It's like, we just had this great conversation. If you're really in, am I going to have an exam booked in the next 24 hours? Am I going to have a text message with your email, phone number? Are you going to be plugged into my Slack group, Grady's Slack group? Are you going to be plugged into, the FFL domination text, or whatever it is, and that's kind of where it goes from there.
It's very freeing to know that you've got someone that you can move forward with, and to also know that you have someone that you're not going to ever have to talk to again, because I'm not interested this time. Okay, perfect. It's like, I don't know. I have some questions. Okay, perfect. Go check out the video. Shoot me back a text if you want to know more. Right. So one thing that I would always say, just to add on, because everything you said was fantastic, but I try to use leading words like, okay, so, all right, Marissa, so the next step is, let's get you started. Right. That's like, okay, we're done with all of this. The next step is, let's get you started. Now, to get started, you need to actually get your license. Now, once you have your license, you're in the club. Once you're in the club, we're ready to go. But until you have that license, so the next step is you have to pass that test. So just like you're saying, you put 24-hour date, that type of stuff. But I try to use for me, it's like, I know that I'm done with the small talk when I say the next step is, let's get you started. Right. So for me, like, in just the way my brain works, it's like, okay, I'm done with all of this. He's agreed, we're moving forward, or she's agreed. So now all I need to cover is these final few things. Victoria's going to reach out to you and make sure you've got your voucher and test booked and help you process that. And so I love all that. Like, it's just, you're very intentional. It's not like a factory, but you're very specific, accomplishing what we need to accomplish. I like you mildly respect me. You don't know what I've accomplished yet, but you will. And you'll be like, oh, wow, I can't believe she's accomplished so much. So it's kind of like a mild, humble brag, but at the same standpoint, it's like, okay, but this is the next step. We need to move forward. Otherwise we're never going to talk again. And I'm okay with that too. Either we're going to talk a bunch or never again. And I can be fine with both. I'll sleep just fine. And so I love it, Marissa. What are some of the things that you do to get it? Let's just transition before as we wrap this up. But what are some things you do to get agents started selling fast? Like, do you any specifics, anything that you just have picked up from other teams, anything you do to get agents started selling fast? And so if you're a new agent on here listening, pretend Marissa's coaching you right now.
Got it. So, Grady, what I have recently sort of transitioned into doing is I used to be, again, transactional, very like, let's get on the phone, let's dial. So as soon as they're in contracting, and I would be like, hey, let's get on the phone and let's dial. When are you getting on the phone? How many leads did you get? Da, 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 da. Now, I do a lot of making sure, first of all, that they're plugged into everything. So I'd be like, are you plugged into the dial team? Are you plugged into the Slack group? Are you plugged into the Facebook group when they're getting ready to go in the field? Then I'm calling them. I'm having a lead strategy call with them. And again, I got some of this from Jordan too, is I used to be very not upfront about leads and how much we had to spend on leads and how much, and the fact that leads are basically the lifeline to our business. I wasn't upfront about that. Now, every single lead strategy call, how much can you invest? Can you push it a little bit more? If hey, I don't have any money, can you get a credit card? Okay, perfect. Hey, I'm going to be buying my leads today too. I want them to know I'm doing it with it. Hey, I'm going to be buying my leads today too. We need to get them on Sunday. Okay, so, and then making sure they're plugged into all those things and they have extra resources. So usually they're coming out of contracting, Grady, and one, they're plugged in, two, they have 2 extra contacts. So I might plug them in with, hey, I might put them in a group message with you or Jordan. Hey, this is Jordan. Hey, this is Tobe. He's really good at on the phones, this and this and that. And then so they have 2 more people that they think are going to be doing it with them, getting them on the dial team. And then the lead strategy call is crucial, because it's like, if you're not going to buy leads, you're not going to be successful here. And so at that point, if I can't get somebody to buy leads, then I'm just waiting for them to reach back out to me.
What's a goal?
Okay, to be able.
What's a goal amount of lead purchase? What's a minimum for you? And what's a goal?
So I think an absolute minimum, like bare minimum, is going to be $500 on their first purchase, if not more. I think that comes from personal when I came in. So, and I just say the same thing of everything I've heard on the trainings. Hey, Grady, now you're either going to have time or you're going to have money. Okay. So what is it right now? Do you have a lot of money or do you have mostly time? I have mostly time. Okay, great. I don't have a lot of money. Okay, great. So what we're going to do is we're going to go in the CRM. Now, all leads are good leads. Okay. Old leads are not old leads. There's no such thing as old leads. Old leads are leads that have not been helped yet. If they're in our CRM, it's because they don't have protection on their family. So it doesn't matter if they're 2 months old, 3 months old, 8 months old, 2 years old, they don't have protection on their family if there's still a lead in there. So I knocked that off the table right away because I don't want to hear any like, oh, well, you got me 2-month-old leads or I got 2-month-old leads. No, all leads there's no such thing as old leads. They're just families who haven't been protected. So Grady, if you have a lot of time, what we're going to have to do is we're going to have to get as many older leads as we can with the budget that you have. And if you have a lot of money and you can invest, $1,000, $1,500, well, then let's get some brand new instant internet leads. And I'm basically going through the whole thing with them. I'm telling them the leads I'm running, hey, because I think too is like when it can relate to somebody, hey, Grady, I don't run brand new mortgage mailers. Okay. I run all my leads out of the CRM and I can do 10K a week, easy, no problem. So that way there's no excuse to have about the leads once they start dialing them. And then Grady, sometimes I will, I used to be really bad about just sort of giving everybody everything. And so I've dialed that back a lot. And so now it's more like, hey, Grady, what's the most you can invest? If they say I can invest 500, I say, okay, is there any chance you could get a credit card and you could do 750? Yeah, Marissa, I could do 750 today. Okay, Grady, if you get this credit card and if you do 750, I'll give you the extra 250 in leads so that we can go ahead and get you to 1,000. Now, Grady, if I do that though, you have to promise you're going to be on live dials and you're going to dial really, really hard. I can't get those leads for you because when I get the leads, Grady, it means they have to be dialed within 24 to 48 hours. So Grady, if I get those leads for you, that extra 250, I need to know that you're going to be on live dials on Monday. And I need to know that you're going to buy your other leads that we talked about today. So you go in to buy the leads, Grady. get them to me, send me the receipt, and then I'm going to get you that extra 250. And then I'm actually going to be on live dials with you on Monday. We start at 8 a.m. and not a minute after. So as long as we're clear there. And most of the time people are, you're so grateful that anyone's giving you anything and anyone's, going to help you with anything. Why would you not? Most people are going to get on live dials with me at 8 a.m. and they're definitely going to invest that 750.
I'm out of words. Marissa, you're just literally, it's apparent whom you are, who you've become, and why your team is growing the way it is. You are excelling in all aspects of the business, from production and from coaching and from growth. And this was an excellent call. I mean, I can't wait to go back and go through this. But it's perfect. The gift and the hook, you push them, I give you something back. It benefits them both, right? It's a tax deduction for you. It's not a big deal. When you sell enough and you have built a big enough business, 250 is an investment in someone who's pushing themselves in someone you believe in. And the way you set up and structure your business from a recruiting standpoint, all the way back at day one, that they are a go-getter and not someone who wants to clock in, clock out. You have now someone you've filtered out to get yourself to only be working with people that want to work hard. And that is a very strong way to set up your business than just keep dumping in numbers of people who can fog a mirror. And no disrespect to people who don't want to work hard, but you're not going to succeed here. And we just try to do our best to filter people out. So we only can give our time, because the time that we're giving to you is time away from our own families. So in that understanding, Marissa, it's impressive to see how you, how you're working. You're in complete flow state right now. And I'm excited to see what your business is going to continue to develop and become, and how you continue to grow and move up the leaderboard. You're rolling. I would love for any final advice, thoughts, tips for the group of people here who would love to accomplish what you have so far.
I think the main thing I've been really focused on a lot lately with new agents and selling, and even myself, is a mindset thing. Whatever you tell yourself is what it's going to be. And I think that with the leads, with the sales, with recruiting, you just talked about leading words, just like what I just said. If you tell a new agent, hey, we're going to get you old leads, they're going to think they're old. And when they don't answer, they're going to call you back and say, so whatever verbiage and whatever you're putting in your mind, hey, there's no such thing as old leads. Every lead is a family that hasn't been protected. You need to get to them and protect them. Is what it's going to be. You say the leads are good, they're going to be good. You say this person, really wants them as a hard worker, they might do that. And you sort of emulate that. So I think just mindset and perspective, and whatever you tell yourself about this business is 90% of what it's going to be. So I think that's sort of my final words. But thank you
most powerful words in the world. The most powerful words in the world are the ones we say to ourselves. And it's apparent that you talk up to agents, you talk up to yourself, you speak life. Drop an MM for Marissa M in the comments below, and show her some love. Marissa, thank you so much for coming on. We appreciate you. The team appreciates you, and we can't wait to see you continue to grow and your agents continue to thrive. Appreciate you so much.
Thank you so much for having me, Grady.
Got it. Talk soon. Bye for now.